Hey guys, welcome into this segment from our full-length The Onside Kick podcast. In order to get the full podcast, go down to the description, go to Blog Talk Radio / The Onside Kick to download the full thing. Enjoy, everybody. But Mark, we're going to move on to a team that we talked about just 2 weeks ago, and that's the Houston Texans. No longer have Brock the Cock-a-doodle-doo that we mentioned in the last segment because he is part of the Cleveland Browns.
They somehow managed to get rid of him.
Apparently, there is news coming out that there's a report on CBS Sports, I should say, from Will Brinson that, and the report says, Texans Bill O'Brien absolutely loves, using my air quotes, absolutely loves one of 2017 NFL draft quarterbacks. You want to know who that is, Mark?
Tell me.
Cannon-armed Patrick Mahomes, and here is the quote that he uses. A lot of BS flies this time of the year, but file this away. One NFL coach who's done homework on all the top quarterbacks told me the word is O'Brien absolutely loves cannon-armed Mahomes, as this was written by Tom Pelissero of USA Today. He goes, O'Brien wouldn't be alone based on conversations I've had that's Pelissero has had. It wouldn't surprise me if Mahomes is one of the first two quarterbacks taken in the draft. How about that? What if it's Trubisky and Mahomes, top two off the board?
Would make no sense.
Should the Texans take him at number 25?
Should they take him at 25? I mean, I can see it. I could.
I think he fits better than Kaiser, even though I had Kaiser last week.
Yeah, I mean, I like Kaiser probably a little bit more than Mahomes. Even though I talk about Mahomes more than I talk about Kaiser. Probably because Mahomes is a little bit of a sexy conversation. And he should be pretty sexy with the two quarterbacks he's usually compared to. For those of you at home, that would be none other than Wrangler jeans Brett Favre and everybody's favorite hairstyle, but not favorite face, Jay Cutler.
It's funny because Jay Cutler is out there and the Texans could pick him up.
Get him, right?
Yeah, who knows?
They could draft Patrick Mahomes and then bring in Jay Cutler, and then nobody will notice which quarterback's out there.
I even looked at NFL.com just to see, if they have someone else, guess who the NFL comparison is? Smoking Jay Cutler.
Hey, he's there. I mean, I don't know. It's a sexy topic of conversation. He's got the big arm. He can improvise all day. He will run around. He will scramble a bit. The problems for him is just going to be that, you got to work the kid. You got to develop him still. He is not ready to be an NFL quarterback right now. Unless he's just going to scramble around and make plays. That he will do very, very well. But to kind of hone in the mechanics and really fix some of the bad habits that he has, one of the big things that people say is that the kid confidence is something possibly a little cocky. And my question would be, for the coaching standpoint, if you know the kid's possibly a little cocky, do you think you can break him of those bad habits?
I think Bill O'Brien thinks he can break him of those
Bill
habits.
O'Brien, I don't doubt that he does. Because he is that kind of no-nonsense guy who feels like, and he's a college coach, he was used to big egos from young kids who need to be broken of those egos.
I mean, he worked with Christian Hackenberg in college.
That's a big statement. So I just think that I don't doubt that he thinks he is the guy to fix him. The problem for Houston is they're going to throw Mahomes to the wolves, and he's not ready.
See, and that's the thing about Mahomes, and the reason why in our mock draft, I should say, I had him going to the Saints at 32 in the 3.0 is because the thing about Mahomes, yes, I like him. I like what he brings to the table. It's just, to me, his biggest criticism is he needs a year to sit. I think he needs to sit a year, kind of work everything out. And the only question is, with the Saints, that works perfectly. You can draft him 32. No one expects him to start over Drew Brees. You're good there. But the Texans, the thing is, if you draft him 24, first off, is 24 a position in the draft where you can say, yes, we're sitting this guy? I mean, I know that the Rams drafted Jared Goff a lot higher and sat him most of the season.
A lot higher.
But it's one of those things, too, where if you're a Texan fan, and I'm not just throwing this out there, I'm actually asking Texan fans who are watching and listening, if you're a Texan fan, would you be either okay, I'm not going to say excited because I wouldn't be excited, but would you be okay with them taking Mahomes at 25 and then going ahead and saying, nope, he will sit Tom Savage as our starter?
Yeah.
Are you excited with that? Because I wouldn't.
I wouldn't be excited, although I think Texans fans are gonna be in one of two camps. Either we just sat through Brock Osweiler, you're really gonna make us sit through Savage
Tom
now,
Savage.
or the flip side of that being, hey, we just sat through Brock Osweiler, anything is better. That's going to be one of two ways.
And then there could be a third party that's like, hey, Jay's out there, right?
Right. Or,
I'd rather sit through Jay Cutler
want.
than Tom Savage.
Yeah, at least
and
Jay
I've
Cutler.
been the biggest Jay Cutler criticizer.
At least with Jay Cutler, you're going to sit there through a year. It's not going to be great, but he will win you games, and then you'll be on to the next thing.
Kind of like Hackenberg with Ryan Fitzmagic.
Yeah, pretty much, but only I don't think anybody believes in Hackenberg.
Yeah, no. But rookie sitting through the guy who got signed, re-signed.
You talk about the Houston Texans and which guy they should go, and you kind of mentioned Kaiser. I think Kaiser is the safest or the safer pick for Houston because you look at the two biggest red flags that people are going to say. Mahomes is going to be bad habits, and that you got to kind of work the mechanics a little bit. Deshaun Kaiser, what people are really saying about Kaiser is the fact that he's going to throw interceptions. He makes poor decisions. That's going to be the biggest knock on him. I feel confident that my coaches can make him a better decision maker than can fix the mechanics in the offseason. The decision maker, it's just learn this fucking playbook, kid, or you're not starting.
And the big thing with Kaiser, which plays into the decision making, is I felt like watching Kaiser, and maybe it's a little bit of where he came from because he wasn't coached that well with Brian Kelly. It's one of those things, boom, I'm getting stuck on that first read, and you've got to learn to, okay, that's not there. I've got to look for another option, and I didn't get that. It was kind of like that's where I'm going, that's where I'm going, that's where I'm going, and then boom.
And that's a good defense in Texas, or in Houston. So they're going to...
Same thing. I mean, Dallas isn't that far
Yeah,
off.
I just didn't want people to be like, we're not talking about the Cowboys here. So he's going to have to learn that in practice if he wants the starting job, because once again, this will probably be open competition for whoever's on the roster. Mahomes is the guy who you mentioned the Saints before. I want to see him go there. I want to see him go to Arizona. I want to see him go somewhere.
Can sit behind someone.
Yes, because those mechanics will take a little bit. And I'm sure somebody's going to be there, or multiple people will be there in the comments saying, yeah, but decision making is a hard thing to fix too. And I don't disagree with that decision making is hard to fix. But it will probably, if a guy's going to fix his decision making and make better reads, make better throws, that's going to be an easier thing to fix in the short term than changing the way somebody throws the ball. How long did it take Tim Tebow to figure out how to throw the ball differently? He still hasn't done it.
He still hasn't. That's why he's in baseball.
Right? I mean, Aaron Rodgers...
Where he can just hit dangers.
Aaron Rodgers is a completely different story with Brett Favre being there, but he had quite a bit of time to learn how to fix his mechanics.
You know who's a third team I would like Mahomes to go to, but I don't think he fall... It's not a fact of will he rise that high. It's will he fall that low to 38th overall in the second round. The Chargers could also work.
They could.
If a guy like Mahomes is there, 38, boom, snack him up if you're the Chargers because then he can sit. And that's the thing. Like getting back Mahomes and the Texans, it gets back to that's my biggest criticism. He's got to sit. And I wouldn't be excited with Tom Savage starting because I would basically see it as another throwaway season.
Yeah,
one of
pretty
those
much.
things. Or like the Rams, Tom Savage is in, but the 4 games we might get Mahomes at the end of it. But the thing that I kind of look at is if Bill O'Brien thinks this guy can fit the offense late in that first round...
He's not going to be around the next time you get a chance, so you kind of have to.
And the thing that's tricky about the Texans in general with their draft is right now I'm looking at the quarterbacks, and the top 5 in my mind are I'll put Deshaun Watson 1, Mitchell Trubisky 2, but they are close. They are close in my mind. Mitch just needs to sit a little bit. Same thing with like Mahomes. Then I'll put Mahomes 3rd, Kaiser 4th, but a guy who is quickly rising. He got on my radar after the Senior Bowl, and he's kind of rising in my mind, is Nathan Peterman. And he's a guy where it could be interesting to see if anyone falls in love with him. But I think with the Texans, if you see your coach say, hey, I like this guy, odds are that's the guy they're going to draft. So
For sure, yeah.
really with the Texans, it comes down to the question of, do you see Patrick Mahomes rising above the 25th pick by the time we get to next Thursday?
It's possible. I kind of don't, though. There's so many good, talented defensive players in this draft and talented wide receivers, running backs who could go before, who I don't think that they do. The problem's going to be for a team like Houston, or if Pittsburgh wants, to get the heir apparent for Big Ben, something like that, is that those type of guys aren't going to be there when you get a chance again. Because if Cleveland doesn't do it in the first, San Francisco, Chicago, quite possibly the Chargers, Arizona, New York doesn't do it right off the bat. All these teams need quarterbacks or should draft a quarterback because your quarterback's ending pretty soon. That the Texans aren't going to get another chance.
Yeah, and I look at it, the only team above the Texans that I think would have quarterback in their top 3 needs would be the Cardinals. And let's be honest, I'm saying let's lead off of what we talked about in segment number 1. Let's say the Browns shock the world, go Trubisky, number 1.
Yeah.
You know how I said that could send a ripple effect through the draft? Well, that could mean the Jets could take Watson. Then you get to 13 in the Cardinals, and the Cardinals have a decision to make. Do we go defense, or
do we reach?
Do we not necessarily reach, but it's one of those things, do we reach for a purpose?
Yeah.
So it's, you know what, we can wait next year to replace Carson Palmer, or since Watson and Trubisky are gone, we can take Mahomes. He can
lose
sit
some value
behind Palmer, and at least we got our number 1, our main position that you need to be successful, hopefully locked down.
Hopefully.
I don't think that happens. I think the Cardinals take a quarterback if someone falls to them.
But it doesn't have to be, the Cleveland either. It could be that San Francisco and Chicago, or San Francisco and New York suddenly go, with a quarterback.
Chicago's interesting. They got Mike Glennon now.
Yep, they do. But
and the Niners
if Glennon's going to
basically
be a stopgap, maybe they say a guy like Trubisky, hey, I want him to sit a year or two.
And the thing that's interesting about Glennon's contract is, I think, isn't it after a year or two there's an opt-out clause or
it's
something?
after 2 years, nothing is guaranteed anymore, if I remember right. But the guaranteed money in year 2 is pretty insignificant. That you could make the argument that it's a 1-year deal.
It's a very friendly contract for the Bears.
Yeah.
And I only see 2 quarterbacks going before the Texans. And if I'm a Texan fan, I see this and I go, well, looks like we're taking Mahomes. And
possibly.
I would start to in my head kind of sitting there. But the thing that's interesting is how many times, like the Jake Locker draft. Oh, Jake Locker's going to he's going to go to the Vikings. The Vikings really like him. Boom, he gets taken by the Titans.
Yeah, surprise.
How many times have we seen that where someone makes an unexpected move and it starts that avalanche?
And with quarterbacks, we haven't seen one of these haven't seen one recently, I would say. Since that draft class, basically. Teams have been a little bit more conservative, a little bit more cautious with quarterbacks. It's a pendulum. It swings back and forth with all these type of positions and all these situations here. Is it going to swing back this year? It could. It could. And you start to get those teams that regret those decisions in a few years.
I'm going to ask you this to kind of wrap everything up. Texans and Mahomes. Give me a percentage of what percentage do you think Mahomes lands with the Texans? And if he does land with the Texans, how do you see the 2017 season playing out for Houston?
So I think it's about a 75% chance he goes to Houston.
Okay.
In the first round. With that being the case, I think they go in kind of open competition. I think he would win it in the preseason. I don't think he'll wait too long. I don't think it'll be that great. I don't necessarily think it'll be that pretty, but his competition isn't very difficult. So I think he would start day one.
I'm gonna go.
I should say week one.
I'm gonna go 90% chance. When I see a coach, pardon me, say that people say, "Oh, a coach likes a quarterback so much," it's almost a done deal. The only 10% is the possibility of him not falling to you or not getting to you. Mm-hmm. But 90% chance or trade bait, 90% chance. I think he's a Houston Texan, and honestly, if the Texans are smart, sit him the entire year. I know the fan base will not like to hear that. I know the fan base will probably not want to watch Tom Savage play an entire year. I'd sit him the whole year because the one thing, that defense is good, but I think it's one of those things where if Tom Savage or Mahomes is your quarterback, either
kind of a wash.
Either way, your defense is bringing you to the playoffs if you're going to get there, and it is one of those things where that division, the Titans are closing in, and if Marcus Mariota comes back, you might not have an open window, even if you do hit a home run at the quarterback position. Mm-hmm. So that division stuff, I think he's going there, and I think he might sit if he plays week 16, week 17. We see him play some football. But I want to turn the question to you guys watching and listening. What do you guys think? Should the Texans take him at 25? Will the Texans take him at 25? And if he's on the Texans next year, what will Patrick Mahomes bring to the Texans? And how do you see the storyline in 2017 playing out in Houston? Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that segment from the Onside Kick. If you think the fun stops there, you're wrong, because click the video right over here. What are you thinking? Come on, click it. It's going to go away. It's going to go away. Bye, everybody.